Welcome to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is where we have motivational, inspiring conversations and interviews that we hope you'll enjoy listening to.
Join us and other inspired actioneers on this alchemical, transformational journey.
Welcome back to the Inspired Action Podcast. This is Pod 93, and today we're so excited because we're starting a new series of episodes on the podcast. It's for the next step and stage one of the 9 stages of alchemy. Whew, that's a lot.
Yes.
Okay, and it's all about asking yourself what you really want. My name is Jay, and I'm here with my co-host, as always, Lita Herman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another podcast. We're so excited to dive deeper into this topic about what do you really want? Because we've covered this topic before in this podcast, and we also wrote about it in our book, Through the Mystery Gate. And we're having a lot of fun with this idea of looking at the 5-element temperaments and how they experience each step of alchemy in general.
Yes, so we're going to a deeper dive.
There you go.
You know, many of our listeners reached out after the last little series that we did, and they said they loved, you know, how we did the 5 elements and how they're doing the meditation and the experiencing the fear and the darkness or the mystery tunnel. So if you're just listening, and thank you for that, by the way, that was awesome. We get them from all over the world, and it's always just so inspiring to connect with people. But if you're just listening to this now, you can reach out to us at any time. There's no clicking talk on that. So remember, times are relevant.
Yes. And if you want to reach out to us, as always, it's Lita at inspiredactionpodcast.com or Jay at inspiredactionpodcast.com. So today we're taking that theme of the 5 elements and the stages of alchemy, and we're moving on to this next step, this step that we call, what do I really want?
And we'll put the air quotes on really.
Yes.
Like, what do we really want? Things that we dream of or we think about, or maybe we think we don't deserve, or it's never going to happen.
Right.
Those kind of the things. That's what we're talking about here.
Right. And in stage 1 of alchemy, you know, we're generally looking at making an agreement with ourselves to enter into a dialogue with the deepest parts of ourselves. You know, hence we had this idea of entering into the mystery. So once you've agreed to enter into the mystery, then the next logical question is, what do I really want in my life?
Yeah. And I'm just going to say, we're not talking about lunch or dinner, you know, the old tuna melt and an iced tea. Although I don't eat cheese or bread anymore, so I'll have to pick a new one. I don't know.
It was tuna melt your favorite food?
I did love a good tuna melt.
I that's hard for me to believe.
With pickles.
Oh my goodness.
Which is kind of bizarre, I know.
I mean, I like a tuna melt, but I would not pick that as
your favorite
the what do
food?
I really want
food.
food.
What do you really want for dinner?
For dinner, maybe my favorite
This is
food.
just riveting,
Yeah,
by the way.
it's riveting. My favorite food has always been lobster for years and years, but I'm not sure that's still the case. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we'll go right outside in the woods and grab a lobster.
There you go.
So we're in the world headquarters of the Inspired Action Podcast, and we love to hear from people all over the world. So again, reach out if you want.
Yeah. So let's get started. So the Taoist alchemists believed that you're here in your lifetime, this lifetime, to learn and experience. And so they used to say that you have a curriculum, and these are the lessons that you're here to learn. So all these experiences that you're having are really meant to answer certain questions you've asked.
Yeah, and they put those questions into 9 categories, the 9 palaces of the heart, 9 types of the curriculum of what you're here for in this lifetime. And I'll give a quick refresh: career, relationship, health, wealth, home, travel, children, wisdom, and prosperity. And I always put a little asterisk there, Lita, because they all have multiple names.
Yes.
And multiple explanations.
Right. For example, some of us don't have children, but we're very creative. So we have creative children.
And
we
it's
have
also
projects.
legacy as well.
Yes. And what are we going to leave to the next generation? Or the travel palace is, you know, it's just having a global perspective on the world.
Right. And it could also be the adventure palace.
Yes. And so
they all have multiple.
Yeah. So we've talked about these 9 palaces a lot. And if you're new to all of this, go back to the first season to listen to our early pods about each of the 9 palaces.
Right. And if you're super nerdy, you can also go to the Learning Center and listen to our online class and watch our online class, or just listen while you're walking. But it's actually video. And what is that class called, Lita?
Understanding the 9 palaces of the heart.
What a coincidence.
Yes.
If you need a little nudge before you take the deep dive, those are some good places to start.
Yes.
So we think we're here to be happy, right, Lita?
Yes.
Is that the kind of the main belief out there?
I think most people think that that's the point of life, to be happy.
Wow. Some people really are struggling there, I think. But
Yeah.
okay, so if most of us are pursuing happiness, what's going to make them happy? What's going to make us happy? You know, I always think the first thing people think about is material things we want to acquire or accumulate.
Or experiences.
Yeah, I think experience is like the gold of why we're here, to have experiences.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, or I don't know, jump out of an airplane, or
Sure, have really good experiences, and you can go through these 9 palaces.
or maybe you just want to have really good food like lobster and tuna melts. Maybe that's why you're here.
I have not had a good tuna melt in like 6 years. But,
Or maybe someone just wants to have the best sex ever.
speaking from a fire person,
Yes,
absolutely.
You have to talk about sex if you're fire.
These are all pursuits that we may have had to try in the past to find happiness.
Yes, and so Jay, before we continue,
Brakes on, screen.
Yeah,
What do
this
you
is
mean?
all great, but we have to still just update people on the Inspired Action
We
podcast.
just got going.
I know.
All right. So, well, I'll do it. I have my notes right here. We're just been super busy on the audio book of Through the Mystery Gate, which is coming out next month. So no matter when you hear this, it's next month. No, it's going to be, we're going to, can I say it? April 2022.
2022.
It's going to be here. We've done our part. We're just waiting for it to come back. So we're excited to bring you that. And, most of our readers prefer audiobooks these days. So you actually can listen while you walk, but not while you drive, remember. Although I guess you can if it's not video.
If it's an audiobook,
Yeah, you
most
can
people listen while they drive.
Really?
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. It's kind of the point, Jay.
Okay, so the audio book is here. It's almost here. We
Yes.
will have a big party, and we'll maybe have some swag and T-shirts. I don't know. We'll have something.
So
What else?
we're super excited to bring that to you. And we also want to say that we've got so many people joining the Alchemy Learning Center.
Like hundreds of people.
Yes, and
I'm not kidding, from all over the world.
Yeah, and we've got free classes. Like we have a great Dao Yin Qigong class. And why we created that is we wanted to offer things that you can do that can help you self-cultivate for your alchemy. So one of the things that alchemists did was they took care of their qi. They made sure their qi was moving. So there are things like that in the Alchemy Learning Center. There's a lot of meditations. There's a lot of classes you can take.
We also have a Tai Chi class that can also be added into your morning routine. How this started was people kept asking us what we did every morning.
Yeah.
And these are the things that we do ourselves every day.
And the Tai Chi class is also coming in April,
Yes.
we hope.
I hope. We'll see. It's
working
actually
on
really
it.
cool. It's a sun style, and we love it. We've been doing it for years. So, and then we have some new meditations, which are already done. We're just waiting for them to come back from our producer.
And we have an apprenticeship program. We have a new group starting in September.
Which is already filling up. Again, mind-boggling.
Yeah, so if you're interested in that, it is April 2022. So get your application in, and we'll have a chat, and we'll move forward with that as well.
And I would say the current class and I can peek ahead to the new class. It's very global.
Yes.
So we're really trying to work out these global challenges, and so far it's going well.
Yeah.
But it is always good if you live in the U.S., but it's not required.
Yes. And so if you haven't checked it out, again, it's alchemylearningcenter.com. And if you're new to it, just click that free access button so you get some of those basic things for free.
And also, please rate and review on iTunes if you like this at all, even like the tiniest little bit. It does help. It helps people find the podcast. We read every one. We always say thank you, and we're just really grateful, and just soak it in the gratitude right now. So
Yes.
Thank you. Rate
Yes.
and review if you have a minute.
And drop us a note. We love to hear from you. We really are serious about that. People are writing us, like we said, from all over. And it's
and
just,
you could send us your video of your walks. And
Yes.
we just got some today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to see.
yeah, so great.
All right,
so is that
now
it?
I forgot
Now
what
we
we're
can
done.
go back.
Ta-da, we're done? No. Now we're going to start the podcast.
Okay. So the Taoists have one definition for what's going to make you happy.
Wait,
Do we need
here
a
go.
drum roll?
No, I have a magic wand.
All right. Here it goes.
Ready?
Ready? A sense of completion.
Wow. There we go.
So what does that mean? They say the goal is to die without having any unfinished business. To feel like you've accomplished what you set out to experience. Remember, we talked about the curriculum. So you set out to fulfill that curriculum and you fulfilled it. And they would say that means you've resolved any issues you're having in your 9
Which I
palaces.
say challenges.
Yes, any challenges you're having in your 9 palaces. So if all of your 9 palaces are satisfied, then you feel like you can go home. And home is the 5th palace. We call it home with a capital H. And it's in the center of all of the others when you put it on a grid. They put the 5th one in the center.
Also the magic square.
Yeah, it's called
in the center of the magic square.
Yeah, and we talk about that in the book, Through the Mystery Gates, this thing called the magic square. And because it's in the center, it's really like the last step of all the 9 palaces, even though it's given the number 5 and not the number 9. And that's because it's kind of like one of those game boards where you move your little pawn around the outside so that you can get into that inner center part. And that's how this works. Once you complete all those 8 other palaces, you get to go home. And that's like with a capital H, like heaven or God or whatever you think, is your spiritual home.
So kind of think of it like a spiritual game of life. You just move around the board trying
Yes.
to figure out these 9
So you're
palaces.
walking around the board. You're like, oh, I need a relationship. Oh, I'm going to go find a partner. Oh, I need a career. Oh, I guess I got to find a job. So
Money,
Yeah.
So wealth is also abundance.
yeah, so you go through all these things. And then once those are completed, you get to go home and you have that sense of completion.
And when you can do that or feel like you're entering in some kind of union with the divine, then you feel a sense of completion and you can die in total peace.
And that's kind of the goal. So, of course, the alchemists took it one step further. They believe that you can actually become immortal. And even in your physical body, or even if your physical body, they believed potentially your physical body could last forever. But even if they thought it didn't last forever, they really believed your spirit could last forever. And thus, the goal of your life is to get completion so that you don't have to keep coming back lifetime after lifetime after lifetime to keep working out this curriculum that never gets
which is
done.
Okay, no judgment.
Yeah, which is right. No judgment. We're all here for a reason. So we currently haven't worked it out. And when they did finish their curriculum, they believed that they would be able to transcend time and space. And that's why there are so many stories of immortals appearing to people throughout antiquity.
Right. And today I'm going to tell this little quick story of one of our dear friends who only recently told us of this story. I think she told us a while ago, but missed it or didn't connect the dots. But she told it to us again. So I thought I would tell you the short version. Believe me, it was a much longer story. But this friend of ours was visiting Dharamsala, where His Holiness the Dalai Lama lives, and this was a long time ago, but not that long ago in the theory of time, right? A couple of decades ago, right? So one day, our friend who was training with a doctor wanted to walk from the clinic to the small town. And all the people that were in the clinic that were around her told her not to go. They were warning her. They said, don't take that path. There's this panther, a rumor, or all the people were talking about rumors of a panther who was stalking on the path. Well, our friend, she kind of laughed and went down that path anyways, and which is so typical, right? She's just like this free spirit. So after a while, she was walking and she met this old man who was just walking in the opposite direction, kind of coming towards her. And he was wearing a flowing cape and a walking cane. And I'm pretty sure, do you remember, Lita, a long white beard?
Or a black beard, I can't remember.
Some kind of beard, right?
Yeah.
So he had this long beard. He just looked like, this cool dude. So he just turned and started to walk with her and started to talk. And she was like, okay. And she just started talking, and they got along really well, and they talked for a while. And then they just sat down on the side of the path in the grass, and they just talked for a little while more. And she was like, it was very nice. It was really cool. She doesn't really remember what they talked about, a little bit. And then he just got up and kind of wandered off. And she was just like, okay. So she went back and told her teacher what had happened. The teacher asked her to describe the old man, and she did. And to our friend's shock and surprise, her teacher confirmed that this was indeed someone she had known and heard about, and that it was an immortal, had been dead for over 200 years. It's like, yeah. Right? So we're like, was that an immortal or what?
Yes. We were so excited to hear this story because...
Oh my God, we were like, what? We want more details.
Yeah.
But it's just like, so I don't know. Take it for what you want. But that's our story of like things just come. She wasn't really looking. It just happened. And she was down this path where everyone told her not to go.
Yes.
I don't know. It was pretty cool.
So, that's just perfect. It's like what we're talking about. It's like the alchemists believe that, there are these people in this world who've transcended time and space.
Yeah.
Was he jumping through time? Did he live more years than can be expected? I mean, obviously, if he was dead for 200 years, he was probably like 300 years old or something.
Maybe he wasn't dead for 200 years. He just hadn't been seen.
Right. We don't know.
We don't know.
Nobody knows.
But it was super cool.
Yeah. So we're talking about, let's go back to the topic, Jay, of Stage One of Alchemy.
It's a cool story.
I know, it's such a cool story. And Stage One of Alchemy, as we said in the first section on this, is comprised of 5 steps. We talked about the first step, which is entering the mystery gate. And now we're talking about the second step, which is to ask this very simple question, not so simple, what do I really want? Now, this question, like I said, is not so simple. It's actually quite tricky for many people. We think it's easy, but think about how often we let life dictate what we want.
A lot of the time. So is it really what we want or what everyone else wants us to do?
Yeah.
Like, where is the individuality of the person come into play?
For example, like, do we really want the same thing as what our parents want for us? Probably not.
Or our spouse or our children or our boss or our neighbors.
Yes.
I know. What if we want something different? What if we want different experiences?
And do we dare to even allow ourselves to want something different?
Yeah, well, that's just a huge thing, and that's why we're doing this little series, because we thought we could kind of have people experiment with these thoughts. And we do have a guided meditation in the Alchemy Learning Center and our Stage 1 meditations there. So you can go check it out if you want to do some self-exploration and ask your higher self.
Yeah, so, by asking your higher self, you're not trying to answer this question from what I call your monkey mind. I mean, your monkey mind is the one that's trying to give a rational, logical answer. But what if the answer to this question isn't rational at all or logical at all? What if your heart wants to do something that makes even no sense at all?
Yeah, what if your curriculum, the lessons that you want to learn, have nothing to do with all those people who want something from you?
Yeah, and that's the deeper question.
Yeah, that's the better line of questioning.
Yeah. So this is where your 5 elements really come into play, because each of us have a 9 palace that maps to, or one of the 9 palaces that maps to our elements. So for the next 5 episodes, we're going to talk to you through each elemental type and how they might struggle with this "what do I really want" question. What are some of the issues, and what does each elemental type fundamentally want? It's going to be a different variation on a theme for each element.
Yeah. And some people out there, Lita, who are listening, they might be like, I got it going on. I'm happy. Things are great. And that is awesome.
Yes.
So you can still do this to enhance what you have going on.
What you have going on already.
So if you're wood, you're going to want something very different than if you're fire, earth, metal, or water elements.
Right. So we're going to have you tune in next time, where we're going to chat about wood and what wood truly wants. And then the next podcast will be fire, et cetera, et cetera. But first, let's talk about why we care so much about what you really want. You see, in the big scheme of things, alchemy isn't really about what you truly want. It's bigger than that. But it's the wanting and the lusting and the striving that gets in the way of us being able to do our alchemy. So if we have a longing it's potentially going to interfere with our ability to fly free in life, which is one of the goals of alchemy.
Yeah, it could kind of hold us down. It could shackle us. It could
Yes.
just keep us in a place we don't want to be. And we have to find that sense of completion in order to proceed along with our alchemy. We have to be free, essentially, like free of this baggage.
Yeah, and the longing is really like it's about clinging to something that we can't seem to fulfill.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, actually, that the thing we want most is best achieved when we stop wanting it so badly and start to allow it.
Yes, that's it, Jay. That's it. That's what stage one is all about, because stage one of alchemy is simply about finding ease. And you get ease when you stop wanting the things that you want so badly so that you can allow them to happen. So that's sort of the theme of stage one of alchemy. And if we don't know what we want or are unwilling to even admit to ourselves what we want, then we can't work with letting go of our attachment to it. We have to find it first and then learn to allow it to simply happen.
And I think in stage one of alchemy, it's about seeing the obstacles, and then removing those obstacles.
Exactly.
So if you're not even looking,
yes,
you just think that's your life.
Yes, and you can think of it as your destiny. You came to have an experience. So let's say it's about wealth and abundance, and that's maybe the palace you came to work on.
So that's a wood palace.
Yes. So fundamentally, you can feel at peace once you have achieved that palace. But oddly, when you fixate on wealth and abundance as a future state that you're trying to get to, it's always a little further down the road than you are.
It's like the dangling carrot.
It is. It's the dangling carrot. You keep moving forward, but at the same time, your target keeps moving
harder.
forward.
You're working more hours. You're trying to make more money. You're trying to accumulate, but yet
it's like as soon as you get $100,000, you want $200,000. It's like human nature. We always want more.
Yeah. So how does that happen?
It happens because it's not a dollar amount. I need X amount of money. It's a feeling. It's the feeling of abundance versus lack.
Yeah, lack is the word. Yeah. But if we're able to shift that feeling, then we're allowing the abundance to come to us. We're getting to a feeling of completion. And oddly, that usually means in a physical reality, we receive it.
Yes, it's that theory of you ask and then you receive.
And allow again and ease,
yes,
all of those words.
It's the law of attraction. Many of us are very familiar with this idea of the law of attraction. We've certainly talked about it on the podcast before.
What? Have we really?
Yes.
Yes, we have.
So if we ask for it, do we sit in that feeling of lack of that thing?
Or put more obstacles and obstacles and challenges that are really, really hard? Or do we just
receive it?
Receive it.
Allow
it's easy.
it. Yeah. So for homework this week,
if you choose to accept it, you don't have to. This is not required.
Yes, you can find a quiet place for yourself to sit and meditate, and you can really start to engage this question for yourself. What do I really want? And you can do the guided meditation that we mentioned, or you can go look at the Through the Mystery Gate, which we actually wrote the whole meditation out.
Or you can make up your own.
Or you can make up your own.
We're okay with that.
And the true step here, the true homework, is to start this process of introspection, asking deeper questions, or as Jay likes to say,
better questions. I know I sound like a broken record. And for you younger listeners out there, a record was a piece of plastic that went on a turntable. And if it was broken, it would keep repeating and repeating and repeating. Okay, that's a little bit here. You could just Google it.
Okay. So your body is your vehicle in this lifetime. And most of us are just conscious of what's outside the vehicle. But we're asking you to look inside the vehicle. You need to take some time to be gentle with yourself and explore your true desires. And so that's it.
And remember, be kind, no judgment, no right or wrong, no good or bad. Wherever you are is perfect.
And you don't need to accomplish anything yet or make it better or resolve it yet. We're just asking questions.
Yeah, asking better questions. It's kind of like sticking your toe in the water a little bit.
Yes.
Or if you've already been putting the toe in, put the whole foot in.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So, all right, that's a great place to end right there.
And so next week, we're going to talk about the wood element and what wood temperaments want as a theme in life. And when they answer their "what do I really want" question. And we want to, again, encourage our listeners to feel free to email us, send us a video of your walk. If you don't, especially you need to know your elements.
Right, that's why 5 elements, 9 palaces, alchemy.
Right. So we are happy to look at the video of you walking and give you some ideas of what element you are. And as Jay mentioned, there's an Understanding the Five Elements class. Oh, no, you mentioned the Nine Palaces class. Well, there's also an Understanding the Five Elements class in the Alchemy Learning Center. So if you're really new to this, you can start by, trying to figure out your element.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to get ready for this series. And until next time, be well, and we hope you find your inspired action.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Inspired Action Podcast, and you've reached the end. Woohoo! Why not celebrate a little bit and click that subscribe button right there? We love having you with us on this journey, and we want it to continue.
You can also rate and review this podcast. And if you have already, thank you so much. We read all reviews, and your reviews help other people find this podcast as well. You can also be a part of this podcast yourself by submitting a voice recording message and emailing it to us at lita@inspiredactionpodcast.com or jay@inspiredactionpodcast.com.
And if you want, you can join our Facebook group or follow us on Instagram.
Join us next week for another Inspired Action conversation. And thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, and remember to hug the dog.